They will introduce the concepts of microcredential and the new development from European credits to Europass digital credential infrastructure. Please, Diana and Andrei, the floor is yours. Thank you again.
Thank you very, very much. Grazie mille.
Ciao a tutti.
Andrei, please start sharing the screen. Thank you so much. And we will start directly, not to lose too much time. We need to apologize for not being there. Mi dispiace non esserci là. I'm Diana Andone, coming from Politecnica University of Timișoara. Andrei?
My name is Andrei, and I am the head of the development team for the Virtual Campus, our official e-learning platform.
So we are coming from the Politecnica University of Timișoara, which is quite similar with the university which is hosting this MoodleMoot. We are a technical university established more than 100 years ago. We just celebrated 100 years ago, and we lead all the digital education activities in our university with a center which was established in 1998. I need to say that all of our activities are very, very much around the idea of a strategy which we initiated several years ago. This strategy, first of all, started with digitization. This digitization obviously needs to have a core point. That core point for us is the university virtual campus, which we thought from the beginning as a unique access point, and also a lot of other things around, because you cannot have only the tools, you need to have the content, and where we rely a lot on open educational resources and on experiences which we gain developing MOOCs and a lot of other courses online, and also the skills. And for that, you need training and constant support for your professors, for the administrative staff, and also for your students.
The beginning of our experience in working with Moodle started in 2008 when we started developing the virtual campus of the Politecnica University of Timișoara, which is our version of the Moodle LMS, which Martin presented earlier. We customized it and upgraded it constantly. We developed a lot of additional tools and plugins, of course, using whatever the community has already developed and made available to all of the Moodlers which exist in the world. We also developed the mobile app, which is available for iOS and Android for about 6 years now. The virtual campus is a closed platform because it hosts all of the educational processes in our university, so the official evaluation and support for these educations. Of course, we cannot talk about the evolution without mentioning the last couple of years. You can see here the accelerated evolution of the use of our platform, which was due to the pandemic. Alongside the number of users who inflated or started using our platform, which didn't do so before, we also had to prepare them to use the tools which were available, meaning we had to develop a lot of training programs, which will be, of course, detailed as follows. Aside from the virtual campus, we also have a experience with open Moodle-based platforms. Some of these platforms will be detailed as follows. For instance, the unicampus.ro, which aimed to be the first Romanian MOOC-like platform starting a few years back, which is open and can be accessed by anybody who wants to use it. Also, this will be detailed in the following presentation.
So obviously now you need to think about digitalization. So once you have the core, the content and the training and the skills, then you need to move forward. You need to really build up the digital education ecosystem. And here, 2 keywords I would like to mention. The first one is collaboration, and the other one is co-creation. You cannot do a digital ecosystem without that. Then you will move to digital transformation, and that's probably where we are in the middle of now. And this digital transformation requires a lot of academic culture changes and a lot of learning transformation methods and building up what I call it communities of transformation. So you move from communities of inquiries, communities of practice, and communities of innovation, so from early adopters to enablers to really the academics, which are ambassadors of the digital transformation. And for that, you need to build up these transformative tools. And for this, you rely on your partners. Here you can see our most reliable partners, and I'm very proud to say that we are part of the Moodle community and part of the Open EdTech community, which Martin just mentioned briefly before, and which probably is going to gain a lot of strength in the years to come. Beside that, it's obviously the IEEE, one of the largest associations in the world, where probably a lot of you are also part, and EDEN, a European association in distance education and in e-learning. Obviously, based on this, we built up a lot of the support for our community. So one of the things which we've done, part of this digital transformation, was the webinars together online, which we initiated last year during the pandemic time, and we ran more than 31 editions, and we had more than 150 presenters in 1 year, and a lot of institutions which were part of. So this is how you build up the community. And to build up the community, you need to validate that community. And that validation we introduced in Romania somehow for the first time with open badges. And this is the first part of what we are going to speak now. How you really motivate people, how you integrate that feeling of belonging. And that's one of the ideas. Open badges in informal learning. And this is built for the webinars, as you can see, but also for other workshops and development. And for this, for example, it's quite special because here, for example, are the badges which we integrated with Badger, so with another open tool which we are relying on, which are very important. So beside of the workshops, which, for example, we are running constantly in the last years, please go back a tiny bit, Andre, you will be able to see two other very different badges. One is coming from the culture sector. So beside of the badges for the education and academia, you will see also badges for everybody who is part of a virtual tour in a museum, in a technical museum, or with badges which for those which are contributing. So, for example, the badge in the middle was quite a novelty for Romania, and something which I will encourage, for example, the schools to do. This was a badge established by the county school office inspectorate of our region, so the whole west region of Romania, as contributors for the best professors which have developed a lot of resources in the pandemic time. This proved to be quite successful and as a badge of honor for a lot of professors, motivating but also somehow rewarding the hard work of our professors. For example, just later today, we are running another workshop, which is, we have Moodle invitation. We are going to speak again about Moodle Academy and MoodleNet. We have colleagues from Moodle headquarters, which are joining us, and a lot of others, including from the European Commission, because we are going to speak about digital competencies for education and culture. But why this point of microcredentials? Why our interest in microcredentials? And for this, I would like to go a bit about the formal and informal bit. Obviously, the importance of microcredentials, for example, you see here a report which is very, very recent from Holon IQ, which I'm pretty sure you are aware of, which really points out the impressive amount of money which is now in the education system, in the online education system, and also into this small, short, informal or formal or partially formal learning which is happening. So obviously, also Martin mentioned, there are a lot of money. And we rely on this credential system for centuries. The first, degree and certificate validated education. Now we move to more informal education validation. We have the need and the feeling that beside of these post-secondary credentials, which we have, I don't know, maybe in higher education, maybe in schools or so on, we need to have also the workplace and other informal learning activities validated, and maybe as you can see probably from micro degrees, which a lot of major MOOCs delivery institutions are doing, we will need to have quite soon a validation and a quality credentials for this. For this, for example, I will try to point out what the European Commission is doing. So, for example, there you will be able to see the European Digital Credentials for Learning, which is the European approach to micro-credential. It initiated several years ago, but very, very strongly last year in 2020, and you will have all the information and data there. This is part of the Digital Education, Digital Europe Education Action Plan, the famous app, which is now in full swing. And quite soon we will see probably who are going to build the digital education European hub, where everybody is going to join and have information. Recently, last month, the European Digital Credentials for Learning was launched, and this was planned to have a lot of information also for formal and informal education, and try to create a standardized, at least for the European Union, micro-credential, which they hope will not rely so much on companies, even if those companies are a freemium company or something like that, and to validate somehow them with the Europass, to include them into the Europass. And for that, they created some data model, which is, validated by the World Wide Web Consortium, and it's in idea with the ELMO and MREC standard. And obviously, you will be able to use it and integrate it on yourself. As far as I know, the Moodle certification system is based also in the same standard. So this will help everybody who is using Moodle to validate and integrate their credentials in the Europass format, which is the new Europass which integrates this.
I will talk now about some of the technical aspects of integrating these micro-credentials, speaking from our experience. The first point I want to talk to you about is the project Open Virtual Mobility, and a bit of older project of ours, which already finished 2 or 3 years ago. However, this was our first experience with integrating micro-credentials into Moodle. At that time, the default backpack provider integrated in Moodle was Mozilla Open Badges, which was one of the reasons we chose to accept the offer of one of our partners, which was Cineca in Italy. And we used the Italian national certification organism, I think, called BESTER. So we had to integrate the issuing and then the validation of these the badges which our course participants obtained by integrating this system. We did this by we developed 24 courses, which were actually 3 levels for 8 different sub-MOOCs, like we call them. Each of the courses provided at the end, after successful completion, corresponding level of the badge. The badges on a technical side were issued by Bester, which received all of the course completion events via the XAPI plugin. Once the once the badge was issued, the recipient received an email, but also the platform, the Moodle-based platform, Open Virtual Mobility Learning Hub, received this information and visually notified the users that they have acquired the badges. So it was actually a custom designed and developed solution of integrating Bester's badges into a Moodle-based platform. So the Moodle native badges system was not used in this case. This is an example of how the badges looked inside a course in Moodle, inside of a block which checked that the current user has already acquired that badge or not. Using the XAPI plugin and a custom-built API that we developed in collaboration with our Italian partners. These are some examples of the badges, 2 of the 8 courses which provided 3 different levels of skills. So, of course, there were 8, but for brevity's sake, we only showed you 2 of them. Another project is called Digital Culture. We just finished implementing it. As part of this project, we developed 13 courses aimed at non-technical people from the cultural spectrum, and it was aimed at boosting their technological skills. We also used a Moodle-based platform. However, in this case, because this is a newer project, we used Moodle's own internal badge system. For each of the 13 courses, we developed a set of badges which were being emitted and then validated by the platform itself. This is an example of a course which, upon completion, the recipient, the user, received the badge, and then they could use it and validate it. These are the 13 badges that we developed, the graphical development. Our Danish partners in this project developed them, and they had a whole methodology that they developed and validated before being implemented in the platform. Also, because in the meantime, Moodle changed the backpack provider from Mozilla Open Badges, which closed, to Badger. This default connection was used in order to export the badges and then greatly facilitated their use and integration into social media. This is an example of how a badge description looks on the platform, as well as how it looks when it's exported and viewed in the Badger system. Also, because, as I said, the purpose of this project was to aid non-technical people, we also provided a lot of training, and we developed a presentation which is available at the link, the small link below, which helps anybody with a Badger account export the badges and use them in their social media accounts. Aside from the badges, however, we also employed the course certificate tools, which are part of the Moodle Workplace by default. However, they are available as additional plugins to be used in the Moodle LMS. We installed and configured this plugin, and alongside the badges, we issued certificates of completion in all of the 6 partner languages. So upon completing a course, a user received a badge which they could use electronically in their social media, but also a printable, if they wish so, a printable certificate of completion.
I will just stay here because you can join all of the digital culture courses. They are part also in Italian, because we have an Italian partner, and also the certificates and the badges are also in Italian and valid in Italian.
Yes, thank you, Dana. Aside from DigiCulture, there's also the Unicampus platform, which I mentioned earlier, which was our first attempt at building an open Moodle-based platform. Some of the courses, as you can see, are available on the website. Also, we are not currently using in the Unicampus platform badges. However, we have integrated the course completion certificates similarly to the examples previously presented. For instance, in the second image, you can see all of the rules by which the certificate is issued, meaning that all of the activities and the resources that need to be completed by using Moodle's own course completion mechanisms, only once all of them have been completed, the certificate is issued. This is a limitation, I think, or a possible point of improving Moodle to allow issuing the certificate upon course completion, which also features all of these rules. However, the presentation began with the virtual campus, which, as I said, is our oldest and current e-learning platform in our university. Even though the platform is closed and we haven't integrated any micro certificates yet, not badges and not certificates as well. However, you can, using the backpack, you can bring the badges you have earned someplace else and show them in your profile. For instance, this is my profile on the university, and the badges I have earned, which are being brought from Badger. Another project we are currently in the development phase is integrating the Romanian official educational infrastructure with the EBSI European network. This is done in order to bring official certification into the modern age, and using the technology of blockchain, validate and all of the official certifications and all of the diplomas which are currently issued in standard form by our ministries. This project aims to develop an EBSI node in Romania and connect it with the larger EBSI infrastructure in order to allow the interconnectivity of all of these certification mechanisms and operations. EBSI stands for European Blockchain Services Infrastructure and features a lot of nodes which are currently, some of them are already up and running, others are in development. We are also having one of these nodes, and we are in the process of integrating it with our official certification organisms. Why is it useful? Why is it good? Because using modern electronic means, any graduate, for instance, high school or higher education, can present in a very friendly or IT-friendly way their certification. And of course, it's not needed to bring a lot of hard printed copies anymore. So this is the main drive behind this project. Of course, we are still in the process of developing it, so it's still early on. These are some of the early adopters on the European level. There are a lot of universities, but also commercial partners who are interested in maybe providing micro-credentials or any other site of certification to their employees, or potential employees can benefit from this project as well. These are some more details about this project, but because I think we are a little bit late, I will go a little further. The Polytechnic University of Timișoara is one of the partners in this project, alongside the official unit for financing higher education, which is a part of the educational ministry here in Romania. Details about the project can be found on the links below, as well as the timeline of developing this project.
Yes, so we've been speaking about digital education, and we've been speaking about micro-credentials. Obviously, we have implemented micro-credentials, or we are testing and implementing them, both in formal and both in informal learning. You will say probably why? Because we strongly believe that you need both. So in the future, probably micro-credentials are going to be another way of validating formal education, or another way of integrating the recognition of informal or small short courses or workplace learning and so on into formal education. So there are several ways of doing it. But it's going to be even more probably an informal way of validating education, knowledge, and skills or competencies. For this, we learned several lessons, how you can do it and why it's really valuable for any institution, university, or even school systems, or even sometimes probably a combination of companies, universities, and school systems to do it. Because as probably you've seen it now in Moodle Academy, because first of all, you will need a vision. This is setting up you as at the forefront of the development of the digital education and of the digital society. And this will bring a lot of other people to yourself. We've seen this, that since we started introducing micro-credentials, badges, and validation of our work, also informally, not only formally, our, exposure increased, and we became much more attractive for our students, for our professors, but also for the outside communities. But of course, to be able to do that, you need clear policies. You need a vision and a strategy to do that. And this is, hopefully, we've been able to show you a very tiny bit how we are doing it at our university. And obviously, you need a structure, which is not only technical, but also skill-based and content-based. You really need to focus on what you're doing. And then you need to bring up the evidence of the effects on how these micro-credentials and validation or assessment and evaluation informally and formally are going to bring to you. So we hope that we've been able to encourage you to try doing it. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are doing it. Bester, for example, is famous in the higher education system in Italy for providing micro-credentials for years now. but we want you to be more closely probably one to each other, because that's something which we need to do. We need to create this community of transformation. And I'm Diana Andon, and here you will be able to find all the information about ourselves and how to be able to use or contact us in the future. And we are looking forward for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't hear.
Oh, thank you very much, Diana. Thank you very much, Andrei, for your interesting talk about micro-credential and open certificates, and also your deep experience at Polytechnic University of Timisoara. I asked two people in the room or connect with us if there are any comments or any questions. Please, if you have any question, come with here near me that you can. I don't see people in the room, but I want to tell you, Diana and Andrei, that we know that you are very active in the learning field. So we are very eager to, first of all, to meet you in presence, but also to IUM and Comando per la Formazione Scuola di Applicazione di Torino, dell'Esercito di Torino and University of Torino. We are all eager to work with you to create a community, as you told before, because we are strong convinced that it's very important to create a community and to work all together in this important period for the future. So, yes, there is a question for you.
Thank you very much. This was very interesting. I'm from Viterbo University in Italy, and we heard recently that micro-credentials could be used in the internationalization processes that we are all living in our universities, in our academic institutions. And I was thinking if you have at all started experimenting in view of this specific objective, a specific scope, to build up short courses, very specialized, maybe attractive for students to share with other universities, so as to build up some kind of maybe greater, more ambitious internationalization project. This would be very interesting. I mean, in any case, we will keep in touch because very, very nice.
Thank you very, very much for the question and for the comment. I will really appreciate it. I would like to have a two-side answer, if it's possible. The first side answer is that we have built up, for example, the Open Virtual Mobility Hub, where we also have badges and courses exactly for that, for trying to encourage professors and students and to develop their skills according to the ESCO skills certification system, which is, in fact, on which is based the entire Europass and the entire competence based in Europe, on how to build up international mobilities and how to encourage to do that also physically and also virtually. So that will be the first point to which I will refer, because there are 24 courses at 3 different levels, 8 areas with 3 different levels, which I think are very valuable. A lot of the international officers, a lot of the students which are going into Erasmus exchanges have taken them and they prove their utility and their usefulness. So and there we have the badges. So, for example, when you will accept a student coming from an Erasmus university, if he will show that, okay, I have these 3-4 badges from this course in building up my competencies and my skills for taking a mobility, that will immediately will encourage a university to look much more confident toward that course, to that student. Obviously, we need to build up even more. Probably this is what I was thinking. And for example, we are looking very much forward to the MoodleNet to try to implement MoodleNet somehow at either in Romania or at an international scale, where you will be able to create this community where small parts, small courses, and small validation are going to jointly put together, and that will allow everybody to use a tiny bit of the resources to build up this sort of internationalization. I will need to say that internationalization and the use of European credits transferable system, the famous ECTS, on which the entire university is based now for more than 16 years, is part of the core development, which now the Europe is looking into the digital education area. The new digital, hub, the European credential system, the new Erasmus, even the new Horizon Europe projects are all looking towards that. So it's still room for ideas, and we hope we encourage you and we gave you some food for thought in this presentation. And we have some ideas too, so if you want to join, you want to work together, we will be very, very, happy to do that. I hope we've been able to hear you, e grazie mille per questa conversazione.
Diana, thank you very much again, Andre, for your talk. I want to tell to all people that Diana and Andre sent us their presentation, so we can share, of course, without it. Thank you. We wait you also here in Torino, and thank you very much again.
Grazie, spero di vederti di persona. Grazie.
Ciao.